In today's video, we will see one more example of constructing the root locus. So the question is, for a unity feedback system, the open loop transfer function is given by g of s equal to k by s into s plus 2 s square plus 6s plus 25. We need to sketch the root locus for k varying from 0 to infinity, and we have to check at what value of k the system becomes unstable, and the last one is we have to find the frequency of oscillation of this system. So first we will write down the open loop transfer function g of s into h of s. H of s is one unity feedback system. So the very first thing is, with this open loop transfer function we have to find the number of poles and zeros. So the numerator we have only k, which is gain of the system. Hence the number of open loop zeros m is equal to 0. Next comes the open loop poles. So the open loop poles are at first one s equal to 0, s equal to minus 2, and on solving s square plus 6s plus 25, the roots we obtain it at minus 3 plus j4 and minus 3 minus j4. Therefore, the number of open loop poles is equal to 4. So, total number of root locus branch, here number of poles is greater than number of zeros. So, the number of root locus branch will be equal to 4. Then, what is the number of asymptotes? So the number of asymptotes is given by the number of poles minus number of zeros, which is again equal to 4. So since the open loop poles are symmetrical about the real axis, the root locus will be symmetrical about the real axis. That means you get the mirror image. So next, third one is we need to find the point at which the branch starts and at which it is going to terminate. The 4 branches starts at open loop poles s equal to 0, s equal to minus 2, s equal to minus 3 plus j4, and s is equal to minus 3 minus j4. At that particular points, our k value is equal to 0. Since we don't have any open loop zeros, these 4 branches will terminate at a 0 which is located somewhere at infinity. At that particular value, k is equal to infinity. So when these 4 branches travel along infinity, it has to travel along some angles. So that is decided by the asymptotes. So we will find the angle of asymptotes. So the angle of asymptotes is given by phi equal to 2q plus 1 into 180 by n minus m, where q has the value from 0, 1 up to n minus m minus 1. Since our n is 4, m is 0, 4 minus 0 is 4, 4 minus 1 is 3. So q takes the value 0, 1, 2 and 3. So if we substitute q value equal to 0, what we get is 45 degree. If q is 1, we get 135. If q is 2, we get 225. And if q is 3, we get 315 degrees. So this particular angle has to be marked at some particular point. So that point we call it as centroid. So centroid gives us, centroid is the sum of real part of poles minus real part of zeros divided by the number of poles and number of zeros. So if you look here, our poles are at s equal to 0, minus 2, minus 3 plus j4, minus 3 minus j4. So the real part is 0, minus 2, minus 3 of this one, and again minus 3 of this. So these are our real parts of the poles. So which we will be using to calculate the centroid. So centroid is 0, minus 2, minus 3, which is the real part of poles, minus real part of 0, which is 0, divided by 4, which gives us minus 2. So keeping the protractor at the centroid, we have to mark the angles 45 degree, 135 degree, 225 degree and 315 degree. So the next thing is breakpoints. Now before coming to the breakpoints, it is necessary for us to identify the area of the root locus, where actually the section where the root locus exists. For that, we will just have a rough sketch of the poles. One pole is located at 0, the other pole is located at minus 2. Next thing is we have a imaginary that is a complex roots. One is, this is J4, this is minus J4, and our third and fourth root is minus 3, minus J4 and minus 3 plus J4. So minus 3 is somewhere here. So our third pole is at this point. Now when we are going to find the area of the root locus, that is the section of the root locus on the real axis, our complex conjugate pairs, it will not affect. So when we are looking here, we need not look into this section beyond minus 2. We need not concentrate on this section because we have here the complex conjugate pairs. So it does not affect the existence of the root locus on the real axis. So now we are finding which part of the real axis is a part of root locus. Only we need to concentrate on the real axis. So now we will consider the region between 0 and minus 2. Obviously, if you can see here, if we consider this section, to the right we have only one pole which is at 0, which is an odd number. Therefore, root locus exists at this region. So when you have root locus which comes from one from minus 2, other one from 0, obviously you will have a breakpoint. So we need to find the breakpoints. So to find the breakpoints, we need to differentiate k with respect to s and equate it to 0. For that, we are supposed to write the characteristic equation, which is of the form 1 plus g of s h of s equal to 0. So on substituting, we get s to the power 4 plus 8s cube plus 37s square plus 50s plus k equal to 0. Next, to differentiate it, we get on differentiating it as 4s cube plus 24s square plus 74s plus 50 equal to 0. If we find the roots, we get it as minus 0.9, minus 2.55 plus j 2.722, minus 2.55 minus j 2.722. Since we need to concentrate only on the real axis between sections 0 and minus 2, it is clear that minus 0.9 is a valid breakpoint. And since it is existing between two poles, that minus 0.9 is a breakaway point. So next thing is we have to find the angle of departure, because our roots, the open loop transfer function, the denominator, we have got 4 poles, that is s is equal to 0, s is equal to minus 2, s is equal to minus 3 plus j4, s is equal to minus 3 minus j4. So you have a complex pole. So we need to find the angle of departure. Angle of arrival is not required because we don't have complex zeros. So we have complex poles. So we need to find the angle of departure. So angle of departure, to find, we have to draw this figure as you can see here. So what does this figure tells? So we have plotted just a rough sketch of the real axis as well as the imaginary axis, I have denoted the poles at s equal to 0, s equal to minus 2, and pole at minus 3 plus j4, minus 3 minus j4. So what we will be doing is we will be using the formula for angle of departure, which is phi d1. 1 because I have two poles, complex poles. So the first one I will denote it by phi d1. It is equal to 180 degree plus theta. So where theta is equal to the angle, sum of the angle made by all the poles, other poles. So if I consider a pole at minus 3 plus j4, I have to see what is the angle made by s equal to 0, s equal to minus 2 and s equal to minus 3 minus j4 with the pole which is located at minus 3 plus j4. So we denote the angles by theta 1, theta 2 and theta 3. So we have to find what is theta 1, theta 2, theta 3. That we need to substitute and we get the angle of departure. So how are you going to find it? So as you can see, I have marked the lines from s equal to 0 to minus 3 plus j4. Similarly from minus 2 to minus 3 plus j4 and minus 3 minus j4 to minus 3 plus j4. So theta 1 is the angle made by the pole which is located at s equal to 0. So theta 1 is equal to 180 degree minus tan inverse of DC divided by CA. So if you see DC is J4, so the real part is 4. So divided 4 units divided by down it is minus 3, so 3 units, 4 by 3, which gives us 53 degree. So 180 degree minus 53 degree gives us 127 degrees. Similarly, theta 2 is made by the pole, angle made by the pole s equal to minus 2. So it is 180 degree minus tan inverse of DC by CB. So C to B, B is at s equal to minus 2. Okay. So C is s equal to minus 3. Therefore, C to B, we have only 1 unit. So 180 degree minus tan inverse 4 units by 1 unit difference between point C and point B. So tan inverse 4 by 1, which gives us 104 degrees. And theta 3 need not be calculated, as you can see directly it is equal to 90 degrees. So we have with us theta 1, theta 2, theta 3. We need to substitute it in the phi d1 formula, which will give us the answer for phi d1. On substituting the value of theta, we get the angle of departure as minus 141 degrees. So next we have to find the angle of departure from the complex pole which is located at minus 3 minus j4. Since both are complex conjugate pairs, our second angle of departure is equal to negative of the first angle of departure. So we get it as positive plus, that is plus 141 degrees. So the last one is, we have a breakaway point at minus 0.9. So obviously the root locus branch will go to the imaginary axis and it will intersect with the imaginary axis. So we have to find the root locus branch at what point it is going to intersect with the imaginary axis, and we have to find the value of k which causes instability. So for that, again we need to construct roots array. To construct the roots array, we need the characteristic equation. So the characteristic equation, we get it as s to the power 4 plus 6s cube plus 10s square plus 8s plus k. So we construct the roots array. On constructing the roots array, our first thing is, for a system to be stable, the first column of the roots array, it should be positive values. So we know that k should be greater than 0. If k is greater than 0, then if you see the s to the power 1 row, we have 8.66 into 8 minus 6k by 8.66. That also has to be greater than 0. So k value should be less than 11.55. So the k value lies between 0 and 11.55. So if k exceeds 11.55, then our system will be unstable. So the 11.55 is the critical value, or it is the marginal value of k for the system to be stable. So to find the frequency of oscillation, we should consider the auxiliary equation. So to consider the auxiliary equation, we have 8.s square rho, where we have it as 8.66 s square plus k. K substitute it as 11.55. So you get s square equal to minus 1.3. So on taking the square root, we get it as plus or minus j 1.16. So our omega, the frequency of sustained oscillation, is 1.16 radians per second. Or it tells us that the root locus branch, it intersects the imaginary axis at j 1.16. So now we will see how to, with these details, how to construct the root locus. So this is how we construct the root locus. First, you have to mark the poles at s equal to 0, s equal to minus 2, s equal to minus 3 plus j4, minus 3 minus j4. At those points, I have written k equal to 0. So you can observe k is equal to 0 at the poles. Next, you have to indicate the break point, which is breakaway point, at minus 0.9. Then we have to mark the intersection with the imaginary axis j 1.16 minus j 1.16. At that particular point, our k value is 11.5 minus 11.5. Next, we have our centroid at minus 2. So with that centroid, we have to mark 45 degree, 135 degree, 225 degrees and 315 degrees. So we have to mark that. And then start a branch from s equal to 0, travel along minus 0.9, break at minus 0.9, then at an angle 45 degree, it moves towards the imaginary axis, intersects the imaginary axis at j 1.16, and then it moves at k equal to infinity. Similarly, start another branch at s equal to minus 2, travel towards minus 0.9 where it breaks, and then at an angle 315 degrees, you have to intersect the imaginary axis with minus j 1.16 and then travel towards infinity along 315 degrees. So these are the two branches. So our next branch starts at minus 3 plus j4, minus 3 minus j4. So here you have to keep in mind, we have calculated the angle of departure as minus 141 degrees and plus 141 degrees. So at an angle minus 141 degrees, you have to start the branch at minus 3 plus j4 and traveling along 135 degree as k approaches to infinity. Similarly, with an angle 140 plus 141 degrees, we have to mark the branch which starts from minus 3 minus j4 and it travels along infinity at an angle 225 degrees. So this is how the root locus has to be plotted, and beyond k equal to 11.5 our system becomes unstable and the frequency of oscillation is 1.16. Hope this particular problem you have